Hey folks, Matt Wilson here with my second video of the day. This one will be shorter. It is on another quintessential 60s East Coast group, the Lovin Spoonful. And then I'm going to briefly touch upon John Sebastian's 70s solo records. So, the Spoonful, yeah, great band, a singles band, and I think they even marketed themselves as such at the time, but who have, a handful of really good albums as well. So let's begin. This is the first one, Hums of the Lovin Spoonful, in 1965. Now, guys, this is still, squarely folk rock, like the Beau Brummels or the Byrds. I mean, there weren't too many American bands at the time who could respond quick enough to the British invasion and get an album out by the end of '65. I don't think any of these bands will. To be an American band and get an album out by the end of '64, I can't think of one, because the Beach Boys were already around before that, So the Spoonful, the Byrds, and the Beau Brummels were three of the first to really have strong albums in '65, and this is one of them. This is good. This is the stereo mix. You get bonus cuts. I'll tell you though, I like it better in mono. This one is Buddha. This is Sundazed, and you get the mono mix. I like it better. These guys were like a Greenwich Village band. They were kind of similar to the Mamas and Papas in that both bands were folk rock guys, ex-folkies, led by a guy named John. The Mamas and Papas left New York, went down to the Caribbean, and from there either came back to New York and went to California, or went to California from the Caribbean. I think they came back to New York first. They had success out here. The Spoonful remained in New York. Both bands about equally successful when you think about it. But this is a strong album. Also very good is 1966's Daydream, classic song. This is the mono mix on, again, Sundays. This is the stereo mix on Buddha, which they repeat the Kama Sutra label there. That was the label that they were on at the time. Very strong album, stronger than Hums of the Lovin Spoonful. Daydream, there she is. Jug band music. Didn't want to have to do it. That's a classic. Didn't have to be so nice. Another classic. But she's still great stuff. I didn't go over the songs here. I probably should too. Do You Believe in Magic? That's a classic. Blues in the Bottle is great. Sport and Life is a good version of that song. You Baby, the Spectre tune. Fishin' Blues, the old folk chestnut. Did You Ever Have to Make Up Your Mind? Another classic. What About My Lovin' is good. Other Side of This Life, the Fred Neil tune. Younger Girl, which the Critters made into a top 40 hit. Night Owl Blues, which should have gone on longer. These are both really strong albums, this one and Daydream, but the best one, probably, Hums of the Lovin Spoonful. Got this unfortunately weird Photoshop cover, but that's the way it's always looked. This is the mono mix. All right. And somewhere I've got the stereo CD, but I couldn't find it. Cut for cut, this is probably the best one. Lovin' You is good. Voodoo in My Basement. Darling Companion, Johnny Cash covered that. Rain on the Roof is a classic. Coconut Grove, that's one of their best ever deep cuts. Nashville Cats is a classic. Four Eyes is about John wearing glasses, and of course Summer in the City. These three albums, that's the core of their catalog to me, to my estimation. They also did a couple of soundtracks, which I don't have, but I have CDRs that people made for me. This is Woody Allen's What's Up Tiger Lily, and the guy that made me this also put this on, which is Francis Ford Coppola's You're a Big Boy Now. So even the films that they got involved with were by top-notch directors, not at that time, but would become, Woody Allen and Coppola. Neither one of these albums is a classic, but both have great songs. What we got here? Well, Fish and Blues is already on the debut, but Pow is a good song. You're a Big Boy Now, the title track is good. Lonely, Amy's theme. I saw him do that live. By the way, I gotta tell you about this poster behind me, so that's gonna be next. Darling, Be Home Soon. That's a Sebastian classic. So there's good songs intermixed on these two albums, but neither album itself is essential. Okay, and last thing before we leave the Sebastian years behind, the Everything Playing album, which is my least favorite one of the first four, but there's still great songs on here. She's Still a Mystery, Priscilla Millionaire, 6 O'Clock, Money. Those are all pretty essential Spoonful songs, even if the rest of the album isn't quite up to par. Let me show you this, because I put this up special for this show. That is a Lovin Spoonful concert that I attended in 2020 by the Wild Honey Orchestra. Now that is a group of local Los Angeles musicians mostly who put these concerts on every year. They pick a 60s band. They invite as many members of the band to attend and play these songs as wants to attend. I saw a Buffalo Springfield show a few years back that Richie Furay was there. What made this one so special, and made this one of the best concerts I've ever seen, is that all three remaining members of the Spoonful were here. Of course, Zalyanovsky has long since passed away, but John, Steve, the drummer whose name escapes me, they were all there. John was on stage from virtually every song, and it was it was like a 3-hour gig. They would talk in between songs, and there was an intermission. But the Spoonful, when they were a quartet, never played a show that long before. So that's one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. That's the poster from it. Okay, before we go on to John Sebastian's solo career, since the discography is so small, I can show you guys other things. This is Do You Believe in Magic? I like this book. This is an overall Simon Wordsworth, an overall, biography of the whole band. If you just want to learn the facts, I recommend that. Tell you what else I liked. Hotter Than a Match Head, which is a line from Summer in the City that Steve Boone wrote. You get his inside view of their career. I actually picked a little passage I wanted to read to you guys. First, I'll set it up. I told you that they were a 45 band and probably promoted as such. Probably thought of themselves that way too. Not so much an album band, but I think that hurts them in the 21st century when we tend to fetishize albums over singles or songs. They don't have a 5-star album, but a lot of bands, a lot of American bands from the 60s did not have, an album like that, like the Doors or the Love Underground and Nico or Surrealistic Pillow, but they still had plenty of great songs. Think of the Turtles, think of the Mamas and Papas, think of Lovin Spoonful, etc. Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to read you, this is a passage that I remembered that Steve wrote in the end. This is at the very end of the book when he's kind of summing up things up, the way that I sum up sometimes the band during these videos. It says, oh God, where should I have started? Okay, well, I'll start down here. Today, we're largely viewed as a singles act who never had one grand album statement. And that's a problem. Even though you can make a solid case that album rock was just a marketing construct that the labels came up with to justify and help cover increasing production and studio costs, and that really every album is just the sum of its songs. Album success is something close to a prerequisite, though, in the arena of enduring critical respect. This is where I think it gets interesting. Pet Sounds is sort of retroactively cast in the role of the first important cohesive rock album, but most serious rock fans know Pet Sounds was effectively a critical and commercial flop upon its release in 1966. Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band was really the game changer. And by the time Sgt. Pepper's hit the racks near the end of '67, the Spoonful were already fractured and incapable of attempting something on that scale. Everything playing probably could have been viewed as our statement if our attention and commitment level was still at 100%, but that was not the case. So he's aware of the Spoonful's legacy, such as it is. Okay, there was another Lovin Spoonful record released in '69 that John Sebastian was not on. You know, I don't review albums like that on my program. I didn't do the Morrison-less albums that the Doors made in '71 and '72. Earlier today I did not do the Velvet Underground album Squeeze, which does not feature Lou Reed, and I'm not going to talk about the Lovin Spoonful album that came out in '69. So I will talk about this, though. This is a nice little set that I got a long time ago. This has been Rhino Handmade. Used to do these little limited edition sets. This is called John Sebastian Faithful Virtue, the Reprise recordings. These are all limited editions. I think this is 1702 out of 3,000. I'm just going to show you during the booklet, you know, what the albums look like. There's only 3 discs here, but I think each disc contains 2 albums. Anyways, after the Spoonful, broke up, he was a solo artist. He played with a lot of musicians. He's playing with the Doors on, is it Roadhouse Blues? I don't remember now. But he was living here in California at the time. He was at Woodstock. Remember, he performed solo. He did a series of albums in the '70s. Again, none of these are classics, but I like them regardless. This first one, John Sebastian, came out in the beginning of the decade. That's the best one. This I'd probably rather play this than everything playing. It's a strong record. He's got photos of himself here at Woodstock, and that would be what the back of the LP would look like. Strong record. Could have been a Spoonful album if he would have still been together with guys. Recommend that one. Then we had a live one, Cheapo Productions presents. Also pretty good. You get his little always smiling stage patter, a good selection of songs that he had recorded and stuff that he did not write. I also think it's pretty good. The Four of Us, I want to say that's 72, but memories are fading. Not bad, closer to being average. And that would be what it looks like the end. I'm sure you can get all these albums separately on CD, but this is a nice little set. Kind of marginal in my estimation is Tarzana Kid. I don't remember the backstory of that. Tarzana, being a community here in the Valley. I don't know what his association with Tarzana was. Maybe he was living out there. It's out there by Encino and Reseda and west of the 405. Tarzana Kid's average. Four of Us wasn't great, but Tarzana Kid, I don't remember much about. This is Welcome Back, with, of course, the famous title song that was the theme song of Welcome Back, Kotter. This is the weakest one, I think, even worse than Tarzana Kid, but it has that song, which is quintessential Sebastian. So, all in all, it's out of print. I'm not going to go online and see what this is worth, but I doubt it's worth hundreds. If you can pick this up for less than $100, I would. Like I said, it was limited edition. There was only 3,000 made. Or if you can get all these albums individually, you want to get Japanese CDs of these or whatever for better sound quality, get it. All right. So Lovin Spoonful is a band much like The Pretty Things, which I did the video of theirs last week, where I think that they need to be promoted more because they don't have an album which is, you know, classic. And we're so, I mean, I know how it is. We're so programmed to think of rock as being an album-oriented genre, but it's not, you know, it wasn't always. In the 50s, you know, everything was singles. In fact, it was singles right until the late 60s. You heard Steve Boone say that Pet Sounds was the first important rock album. I don't know why he's picked that. It's kind of random. Why not Dylan? Why not, you know, something from 65 or something, or even the Beatles before 66. But anyways, so we do tend to think of, oh, you know, were they good? What album should I hear? You know, get yourself a good Spoonful compilation, or better yet, just get those first 4 albums and make your own compilation. I made one that on CDR, which I played in the car for my daughter before we went to this concert back in 2020. I still have it in my car. It's that good. It's a perfect sequence of their hits with deep cuts, which should have been hits, which sound as good as the hits. So anyways, Lovin Spoonful, I love them. Hope you do too. Adios.